morning, South Point Church, and welcome back to the Cross My Heart series, where we begin and continue to talk about the promises of God that requires a condition. So God requires us to be obedient in one aspect, and if we are obedient in this certain area, God promises us to bless us in this area. So today we're going to talk about giving. And I know that's not a popular subject. I know not everyone wants to hear about giving. And some people even use the comment, all the preacher wants to talk about is giving, giving, giving. I have to say, in the last 10 years of preaching the gospel at South Point Church, I could probably count on my hands how many times I spoke on giving. But here's why it's so important to understand this principle, okay? Because God uses giving to discipline us or to get us in shape in trusting Him. You see, giving takes place on a weekly basis most of the time. And every week we have a paycheck, or every other week we get our paycheck. And every other week we have to be challenged to be faithful in His condition to give. So every single week I have to get my paycheck, get my checkbook out, and man, write that tithe check or that giving check or that offering check, tear it off, give it to the house of God, and then trust God. So I give and then I trust God. I give and then I trust God. And that has disciplined me over the years to trust Him, not just with my finances, but to trust Him in every aspect of my life, because He used my finances to show how faithful He is. So let me just give you the verse that we have today. It's found in Luke chapter number 6 in verse number 38, where Jesus is basically teaching this principle. And He says this, "Give, and it shall be given unto us." So here's the beginning of the verse. Give, you have a condition. God says, I want to see your faithfulness and obedience. So you give. And sometimes it hurts. Give. And then He says, it will be given unto you. Now, He uses basically a grain bag where they put grain in a bag, okay, to kind of demonstrate what that means. He says, how are they going to give unto you? He says, first you give, and then He says, give, and it will be given back to you in good measure. Not sparingly, but good measure. It will be given unto you pressed down. That means the bag is packed, okay? It will be given unto you shaken together. That means they take the bag and they shake it. You ever put some stuff in a bag and you shake it and it all settles so it gives you more room so they can put more? So He says they give unto you good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and now watch this, and running over. Running over so that you have not only what you need, but you have an abundance of it, you see. Shall men give unto you. The way that you give, God says, is the way it will be given back to you. I always heard a phrase, you can never outgive God. And I believe that happens to be true. I heard people say, man, I can't give because I'm in such financial debt. I have a philosophy. How about you give yourself out of financial debt? In other words, God understands every position that you're in. He just wants to see your faithfulness and your obedience in giving. And when you give, God, who owns the cattle of 1,000 hills, will give in that manner. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Now, I don't know about you, but I love it when God gives to me and has my finances running over. It's a great feeling to have your finances running over. Not finances running over because you robbed from God, but finances running over because you know you've been obedient to God and God chose to give you the running over bag. So I'm telling you, man, you need to get this principle into your life. If you want to be financially successful, there's two basic philosophies of getting rich in this world. One philosophy is rob from God, don't give to God, and just try to acquire as much as you possibly can in this life. But Jesus says that's like taking money and putting it in a bag with holes, where as you're walking, the money is just coming out of the bag, okay? It's very difficult to do that. And there is absolutely no reward in heaven, okay, for that means of financial success, okay? The other means of financial success is being faithful to the Lord. And when you're faithful to the Lord and you're trusting in His promise, then you leave the results up to God, and He blesses you with everything that you're going to need. So you live a financially happy, successful life based on what God gave you. So you're not walking around boasting on all of your good efforts and your good ability to raise money. You're boasting on what God did for you, and God receives the glory. And I'm telling you, when God receives the glory for your financial well-being, then I'm telling you, folks, it just brings people to an understanding of the promises of God, and it helps in every aspect of trusting God. So I hope that you are trusting God with your giving. If you're not giving today, then I'm going to challenge you to begin giving today. You stop making a decision to trust in Him. And I promise, according to the Word of God, that God will be faithful in providing all of your needs according to His riches and according to His glory. Man, I hope you're blessed today.